If you have parents or grandparents that are born in Mexico and you're born in the US but you want dual citizenship, then keep watching because I'm going to explain everything step by step. If you have parents or grandparents who are born in Mexico and you are born in the US, you qualify to get your dual citizenship, but they do require proof. Hi, my name is Norma. I'm a jack of all trades. We have a notary business, and within that notary business, we translate documents, we apostille them. I know the whole process at the top of my head, but what I have learned recently is that Texas is a dud. Cut. This is the email, and I'm going to post it on the screen, that Mexico sent to us because we've been trying to get my husband's dual citizenship for a little bit over a year now. It's been since 2023 since I began the process for him, and it's just been a whole mess. Now, first, let me just say this. Please make sure that everything is correct in your birth certificate as well as your parents' birth certificates, full names, date of birth, all that good stuff, because Mexico will reject your application due to the errors, and then for you to fix it with your state, it is such a hassle. So it's a lot of going back and forth, speaking from experience, and I will talk about that later on. They want the original birth certificate. In Texas, they give you a small one and a big one. You need the big one. In whatever state you're at, it might be similar, but you need the big birth certificate. You also need your identification. So if you have a driver's license or state ID, you need to have that as well. You need your parents' information or your grandparents, whoever you are using. Now, for Mexican citizens, we have CURP, which is clave única. It's like I don't know exactly how to explain this, but we have a CURP number. Not everyone has it though, for some reason. You can go to the Mexico website and buy a copy of the birth certificate of the person. Let's say you're using your parents. You can type in their CURP or their information. You can use their full name, date of birth, and then they should come up in the system. You will then pay, I think it was like maybe $2, $3. I can't remember. It's been a while since I bought one. So you pay the amount, get the PDF file, and then from there you can print that out. Either way, you need to send Mexico the PDF in one document, so they all have to be merged with everything that they require. But let's say your parents do have their birth certificate, then you would have to scan that into that PDF, and the day of the appointment you must take all the originals. You do also need their identifications, so their matrícula, their pasaporte, ¿cómo se dice la tarjeta? La INE. You can use whatever documents they have. If your parents are in Mexico, then obviously you would need to take the documents over there. I will explain that in a minute. But let's say you are here, your parents are here, then you need their identifications as well. You will then fill out the form that El Gobierno de Mexico requires, which you put in your information, full name, date of birth, your parents' information. This is where that comes into play. Make sure everything is correct, because they do need you to send the PDF along with that application to their email, and they will review everything. If you don't have any issues, whatever I said previously, just gather all that, email del consulado, check out their website, they have all their details there. And then from there, just wait till they reply, and they'll confirm your appointment, go to the appointment, and it does not take that long. It takes, I think that same day you become a Mexican citizen, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's very, very fast paced. For the ones that are in trouble like ourselves, stay with me, okay? There is a process called apostille. What an apostille means, it's this Hague Convention Act that was filed years ago, which certain countries can come along together, certify documents in their states, and then said person who is filing for the apostille could then use the documents that they got apostilled from their state to the other country. This is my example, okay? And this is based on a true story, so this is what I'm telling you guys. For my husband, his birth certificate, the big one, we submitted that. I made sure that everything was apostille, everything was translated, including his birth certificate, because again, I do this for my business, so I already know. Well, come to find out, his dad's date of birth is incorrect. His mom's name is misspelled and incorrect. So the Consulado de Mexico rejected our application. They said, hey, we need this fixed, but you need to fix this where you're at, talk to Texas. If y'all do not know how Texas works, it's horrible, horrible. So then I reach out to Texas, which is the Health and Human Vital Services, something like that. And then they tell me, well, you need A, B, C, and D. This is the application. All right, cool. Download the application. Submit everything. But here's the issue. We need his parents' birth certificates apostilled from Mexico. You cannot get this in the consulado here. We have a consulado in Dallas. It doesn't work. They want you to go to the other country or find someone that can go to the other country, apostille those documents from that country, because remember, Hague Convention Act, so that then it could be used in Texas. Or if you use your parents' foreign passport, the foreign passport must have a visa. If y'all don't know, Texas is filled with a lot of our people who don't have legal status. Well, my father-in-law passed away, so we had his death certificate. His death certificate was also incorrect, so it wasn't even a good proof to show to Mexico. This is why I said I've been going back and forth with them for a long time, and it takes weeks for Texas to even process your application. They don't do it right away unless you pay for the expedited services. Like, you have to pay for a copy, you have to pay for to ship it off, because I don't recommend mailing it off. Documents do get lost. It's a lot of money spent. It's very time consuming. So just make sure that everything is correct before you send everything in. Well, the reason why I'm making this video is because I was supposed to make it a long time ago, and this young lady reached out to me. She found me on Facebook. I've made videos in the past explaining the apostille process and how I offer those services, but she lives near the border. So she started telling me that she's been going through it back and forth with Texas, with Mexico, same issue as us. So let's rewind and explain the whole apostille service. Mexico requires certain documents to be apostilled if you are going to file in Mexico, or even then, sometimes they require it here too, like if you were to go to the consulado, which means that if you are born here, you will need to get your birth certificate apostilled. It goes to Austin, Texas, and it's the Secretary of State. They do take anywhere from 25 days to a month to process that and send it back to you. You can also go in person, but obviously you have to drive. And then there is an application. There's also a fee to apostille each document. So the fee is $15. And then the Mexico fee to apostille something, it just depends on your state where your parents are from. You will then need to apostille. First, make sure that the birth certificates that you're using from said person that is a Mexican citizen needs to be correct. And then you will apostille it from that country. So each state has their own area where they apostille documents. That's where you do the carta poderes, all that stuff. I think I just Googled like apostilles in Zacatecas, which is where my husband's family's from. So this little office came up, and that would be an option. So we still have to figure that out. We have to figure out how we're gonna go over there. We are gonna go over there, if someone could do it for us. But let's say you have to go over there. Unfortunately, yes, you have to pay for the flights. You have to pay for the hotel. You have to pay for the fee, but the fee is not too much. I think on the website for Zacatecas, it was like under $20 to apostille a document, which is not bad at all. So that's where that challenging part comes in. Okay. So once you go to Mexico, get the documents apostille, I think it takes 1 to 2 days to process everything. You will just come back. Make sure to scan everything. Don't ever send anything anywhere without a copy. That's a big no-no. Once you have that apostille, scan it. So then you would send those documents back to your state. For instance, us, once we go ahead and get those apostilles for his mom and dad's birth certificates and their marriage license, we're just gonna go ahead and try to take care of all of those. We will then send it back to Texas so that they can reprocess it. When you send everything in, they do give you like a confirmation number, request number, something like that, which they basically put your application on hold until you have all the documents, and then you would just send it back because you already paid the fee. For instance, we paid $37 because we wanted a copy, and they charge you to fix the application if you want a certificate. So they have $37 under our account already. Once we have that, then we would have to wait a couple more weeks for them to correct my husband's birth certificate. From there on, we are able to get the correction, translate it to Spanish, and get it apostilled. We will also get his translations apostilled, and then we will get his dad's death certificate translated to Spanish and apostilled as well, which we previously paid for them, but before we even knew that there were any issues, we paid for the apostilles, and it was just ridiculous because we had to do the whole process again. We almost gave up on this, but we have to keep going. It was just a little roadblock. So here's another possible situation just because it happened with us. My father-in-law's death certificate was also incorrect. My husband's mom's name was misspelled and not the full name how they wanted it in the consulado, which means that, let's say if your mom has her matricula and she didn't put her full middle name, she just has the initial, the Consulado de Mexico will reject that. Like, they're very particular about that stuff. So that's why I said make sure everything is good. So my father-in-law passed away here in the U.S. His death certificate was incorrect. We then had to pay $37 for the state of Texas to correct that, and they didn't want to fix it. They kept saying, well, we need to go to probate court and we need to do all these things, but my father-in-law didn't have anything to his name, so I just didn't understand why it was such a big deal. I called Texas, I called an attorney, like it was so much that I had to take care of. And then the attorney was like, well, there's no point for you to go to probate court if there is nothing there. My father-in-law didn't have a bank account. He didn't have a house to his name. I think he only had a vehicle and he gave it to his kids or something like that. But I mean, that was something that my mother-in-law was able to transfer. So besides that, he had nothing. And he said, talk to Texas again, or see if you can go to the funeral home. The funeral home will probably be able to help you. All right, we went to the funeral home, which is kind of far from us. And they were like, well, we can't do anything. That's something that you have to go to court for, or you have to go to Texas. Just talk to Texas about that. Here we go again. So then I reach out to Texas and I'm like, hey, I already talked to an attorney. I already talked to the funeral home. There's nothing that I can do. So then they transferred me to a line and they gave me phone numbers. So I had to call different departments to get an answer. I even talked to probate court. Probate said the same thing. They said, look, we can't help you, especially if your father-in-law didn't have anything. Try to go back to the funeral home because they do it all the time. They need to correct it on their end. So I contacted the funeral home once again, explained everything, and the gentleman said, okay, well, you can come into the office this day, which he previously told us that last time. It was at Hughes Funeral Home, and at first he just kind of wasted our time. So he was able to fix it that day, but we had to pay an additional amount. I forgot how much we paid that time, which means that the $37 that were for the correction for my father-in-law's death certificate just went to the trash. Texas does not refund it. Texas does not transfer it. So you have to make sure that you know what you are doing. So hopefully this helps you save some money and time. Don't make the same mistakes that we did. Anyways, we're at the funeral home. He's like, okay, so what do you need fixed? I told him what it was, or we told him what it was. I went with my husband. And since my husband was the informant when my father-in-law passed away, it was pretty easy for him to just relay the information. He put it in his system, said, okay, it should be fixed. Kid you not, within a week, we received the corrected death certificate. And it was legal size, which means it was this long. It looks, so the death certificate, you'll see how it used to be on the first end. And then at the bottom, a little space, you'll see the correction where it says what was fixed. So it took them 1 week. Meanwhile, I was dealing with all of this for months. Makes no sense. Like the funeral home, we were paying you thousands of dollars. You should be able to help. We paid them about 20 grand for my father-in-law's funeral just for them to just brush us off like it's nothing. It could have been an easy fix months ago when we went. Anyways, that's my little rant. So my father-in-law's death certificate is corrected. Now we're gonna go ahead and translate that, apostille it back to Texas so that they can send it back to us, and we'll be able to have that for Mexico. So that's the whole difference. Like you have to take care of the US and then the Mexico side. So once we have all of that, we will then use the documents that were apostilled in Mexico to submit it to the Texas vital statistics so that they can correct my husband's birth certificate. And once that birth certificate comes back, which takes, like I said, weeks, we will have to get that apostilled, my husband's birth certificate apostilled, submit all that to Mexico, and then schedule our appointment for the dual citizenship. If it's quicker, we're probably just gonna have to do it in Mexico. Coahuila's not that far. I'm pretty sure you could go to the consulado there, or we'll just probably go to the consulado here because it's so hard to get appointments online, guys. I just don't get it, which is why they recommend you to either use the WhatsApp number or their website. But even then, the website, like you check online and there's no appointments available. It's a pretty straightforward process unless there are issues with your documentation. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you are in Texas and you do need help with the apostille process, because I know it's a little bit confusing. Also, the applications cannot have any errors. They have applications for the state. Make sure you put everything good if you are going to do it yourself. But if you do need help, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you. Of course, as long as they are here in Texas, I do not help for other states or countries. Like you would literally have to go to the other countries unless you need documents from the US to other countries. I'm more than happy to help you if you live in Texas. So if you have any questions or concerns, let me know. Phone number is 214-215-7796.